I was muted. Hello, world. I'm back. Um, I am picking this up after 2 or 3 days off. I had a busy weekend. I did about 30 minutes of pixel art off stream. I did a little recover files. Oops, closed everything. I did a little alien spaceship, which you can see here. I'll have to dig up the file for it because I rebooted and it lost the references. So I did a little alien spaceship here to replace that purple triangle turret. And what else? I cleaned up a little bit on the ship sprites. I did a little extra highlighting on some of the pieces, which you'll see as I start to play here. So yeah, I'm hitting that point where I'm like, oh god, I actually have to finish this thing in 15 hours. So I want to do the scene where I want to do a separate scene for the shipbuilding, so like a hangar bay scene, and I want to do a kind of a background environment for that. I want to do maybe a larger mini boss enemy that's some kind of big floating alien thing, maybe with multiple guns on it. And I feel like those are essential pieces. I need to have an additional enemy type, and I need to have that scene that I can switch to where you can build your ship, because this editing ships while flying around business is not going to last forever, and it's not how it was intended to work. So do a little cleanup here. So yeah, let me run it here so you can see the status of things. So you can build parts on your ship, put guns on, you can put thrusters on. Whoops, that's not what I was intending to do. Asymmetric thrusters. You can blow up these enemies. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. Yeah. See, there's a little parallax effect on the stars there. It's coming along. It's coming along. But there's a lot to do in the remaining 15 hours, so I'm getting to where I got to start putting the overall structure of the game together, like transitioning in and out of levels, having a dedicated scene space where you can build on your ship, making some actual UI elements, coming up with a title for the game, which I'm still looking for suggestions on, so a lot of things. Let's see, chat box is working. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna jump into it. I want to create a big background here, and I think I want to do some like big panels for the background of like the ship hangar. I'm not going to do like a proper tile set. I'm going to kind of manually build the hangar scene, but I want to make some tiled pieces that I can repeat, because hell, if I'm going to hand paint like a full screen scene background, I'm going to make some panel sections with some transparency on them and then repeat them, because time is precious. Also, oh, what happened to my... where'd this go? Cosmos? Okay. I updated my color palette with some gray tones. I decided I needed gray tones. And I was overdue for adding them, so I added some more neutral colors. This is closer to what I intended the ship to look like, but I kind of like the idea of it just being bright blue. And but I'm going to use these colors for like the manufactured, like the hangar environment where you do the shipbuilding stuff. So yeah, let's get on it. Let's do some sprite editing. So I was thinking it would be cool if the background where you're building is like a hangar bay that's open to space. That might be cool. So just gonna slap something down and see how it looks. Kind of go back and forth here. So I was thinking the interior of the spaceship will be mostly this kind of color. I might do some little some like rivets in places. I'll do some radial symmetry here. And let's actually connect these. I'm gonna do, so the idea of this is that it's like metallic paneling in the background of the hangar bay, and I want to have windows where you can see like a star field beyond that. Lets you see out into space so that I can scroll that and have it feel like you're moving when you're in the ship hangar bay. So do that. Come on. Can I draw a straight line to save my life? Nope. Can I draw a straight line to save my game jam? Doubtful. I'm actually going to do this differently, I think. I'm going to inset these little grooves. I want it to look like these are like metal panels that are kind of snapped together. Just something kind of manufactured and textured looking. Maybe some little indentations. Because the idea is that this is the hangar bay where you're building your ship, so it should be like part of a space station or a mothership or something. I cannot draw a straight line today. I don't want this to be too high contrast because I don't want it to distract from the ship. I want this to feel very much like background material, so I'm going to use kind of light colors, light contrast. Tool. I want these to feel like little grooves, kinda. Do a little less contrast so it gets nice and faded into the background. And maybe nah. Let's try this. Hanger panels. Actually, I'm looking at it in the preview, and I think I want to change it a bit. I don't like this big void in the middle. How's that looking? Not too bad. That looks a little cleaner, I think. Let's try this. Let's kick it up in Unity. I'm actually going to copy this scene. What scene am I in? Space Hulk. Ah, I've been working in this thing. Duplicate this scene. How do I duplicate the scene? Guess I save as a new scene. Let's go to the hangar scene. And I'm going to remove all the stuff that's not relevant to the hangar. Going to go to my textures, look at my where's my hanger? Where did I export this? Ah, not into the project. Mod ship, mod ship, mod ship, assets, textures. Let's do it right here. All right, there's my background. I would like this to render on the background layer. Environment. Let's make a holder for all of the hanger stuff. Two units over. Not completely happy with the way that's tiling, but the general look of it is okay. Let's see. Let's duplicate it. Scoot it down. Duplicate it. Scoot it up. Duplicate this whole thing and move it over, let me think, a bunch. compiled all these. Then duplicate this whole thing and move this over 6 units. Scoot that over 6. Left. And this is a super hacky way to do this that's not very easy to maintain or update later, but I'm really just looking to get something thrown down because this is going to be a static scene and I don't want to put too much time into it. I just want to have an environment where you can build on your ship. So okay, pixel's looking kind of grainy because this whole thing is scaled, but that looks like a hangar background, kinda. So let's see. I think it needs some walls maybe on like 3 sides of it. So let's see what that should look like. I also want to change this pattern a little bit. How's this look? Better, better, better. We're not going to move around in this scene, but it just see what it looks like in context a little bit. So yeah, need some walls on it. So let's slap some walls on it. So I think I'm going to have a section that is just half as wide. Nope. And give it kind of a darker gradient here. Whoops. Like this is space inside the wall, maybe. Actually, let's make it good and dark. Darker than anything else on here. And then I'll have the outside look like it kind of tapers off. So I'm going to, there's the line tool. That would have helped. I'm an expert, I swear. I'm not. I'm going to have this kind of taper off into darkness. And then make this chunk transparent. There we go. That could look like a wall. Finger panel wall. Let's go back to Unity. Where do I keep exporting these things? It went back to the art directory. Whatever. -9. Nope. -10. All right. I'll call this wall left. Oops. Let's make a container object called wall left. And the proper way to do this would be with tile maps and all that, but this is static. It's not getting edited. I'm only making it for this one scene, and I want to do it quickly without importing a bunch of new behavior, so doing this the super quick hacky way. -6. -8. -2. -4. Whoops. 6. 8. Duplicate this whole thing. Right hand wall. We're going to rotate this whole thing 180. Where'd you go, wall? Back to 0. Then do a lower wall. That's just 90. And some corners. Gotta do a corner sprite. So this is gonna be, let's turn off this symmetry tool. And let's rotate 90 counterclockwise. Okay. Not too bad. And then we just got to finish off all these corners. And I don't think they need to be perfectly straight either. Let's round them off a little bit. Make it look a little more natural, because most things in real life don't have perfectly sharp corners. How's that? Corner? Why does this keep happening to me? All right. Every time I create a new duplicate of this sprite file, it kicks me back to the art directory that I was saved on before. Because the thing I'm duplicating from was centered on that directory, so I keep having to re-navigate into the project. Okay. Let's do this. Where's my corner at? There we go. Do this at -10, -10. There we go. Got a corner. Not bad. Should be way over here, so should this. 10, -10. Okay, I'm just gonna make a section called corners. Now let me check something. Let me check the extents of this here. Okay. Gun, gun, gun. Ooh. Those bullets are firing behind the background, so that's a good thing to be aware of. So are the thrusters. That thruster's in the front. The others are in the back. So you can't see them. Ooh, that spin. Okay. All right. So now I want to have kind of a have a little bit of an inset so that it looks like a little launching point in the up direction. Like there's an exit from the ship, kind of. I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. And I can kind of do it by just removing sections up here and replacing them with something else. Some wall stuff. Let's do a couple little sections of walls right here. Give it the corners. +10. There's that one. That one. Then I would like to have some kind of like ramp looking function here to make this look like kind of a launching off ramp or something. So let's do a section. Clockwise. Whoops. All right, let's do a section of this that just kind of a long tapering ramp. out into space. Okay, I'll do something like this. I'm gonna do light, medium, dark, medium, dark, one step darker, back. Let's try this ramp sprite. Eight, 4. And there goes the dog. All right, so there's kind of our ramp out into space that has been lowered down. I'm actually okay with doing like a nice dark line at the edge. you can barely tell the difference. Okay. That would be a cool animation to kind of launch you off when you finish building your ship. Like you click OK and it just goes, it just takes you off. How wide am I allowing it to go right now? I want it to be wider than the ramp. One, two, three, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. I want this to not just be a giant floating platform. I want there to be some semblance of like a ship coming off of this thing. So that's going to be a thing. Think about the best way to do that. Let's make our ship substance here. I'm going to do a bigger section for this, so I don't have to repeat it as many times. Doesn't need to be as detailed. Load palette. Give me my palette back. D. Workspace. Art. I want to save this palette. I also want to set it as the default. Okay. All right, so let's do a section of ship coming off of this. I want it to be very light colored. We'll do radial symmetry so we can have a little repeating pattern, but we don't need too much. Just a little pattern of studs, I think. One, 2, 3, 4. That'll also be 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I'm just making a little tileable, simple detail pattern here. I think I would like to have this just be kind of a go into the project and do assets, textures. Ramp. I'm thinking all around this hangar bay, this can just look like kind of the exterior of the ship, and then kind of tile out from there. Duplicate a section here. Yeah, maybe using a tile set would have helped with this. -12, -8. Oops. Alright, let's just fill out all around this. All the way out to the edges of the screen. Hello, how's it going? Sorry, Mr. Chat. Just deep in tunnel vision here. -20. Let's just copy this whole mess right over here. And let's just do this all super hacky. Scoot this all back down. Scoot the whole hanger back down. And give it some sort of wall edge like we did the hanger itself. So that it at least looks complete. So let's do that real quick. Let's do how much time to become a 2D game dev? Well, it's a tricky question because you can learn to make a very simple game very quickly. And to master making very complicated games can take an entire career. So it's not really a set amount of time, but it depends what you want to make. And my recommendation is to start really simple and make something cool that you can be proud of and happy with quickly. And then when you have finished a project, start another one that's a little bit trickier. And keep doing that. Till you build up a skill set. Because you don't need to learn everything at once, and you don't need to learn it all overnight either. But the tools to do it are surprisingly cheap. There's a lot of good tutorials in the world, depending on the type of game you want to make. What type of game? Like, what genre of game is it? Like, you say story, so is it like an RPG, like an adventure game, or like a... Generally, games with story are significantly more work for one main reason, which is that if a game has a story, then it has like a beginning, middle, and end, and generally you don't reuse a lot. So each scene or each piece, you have to build it, and the player plays through it, and then it's over, and then they're on to the next thing. Versus something like a roguelike or something procedural that reuses a lot of the same elements over and over. So games with story tend to be a lot more work just because the amount of pieces you have to make for the game to be a decent length is a lot. An adventure game, yeah. So those type of games are a lot of work because they have a lot of content to them. So you got to plan to build out every single scene, every single environment, every single piece of it. So, and that can be done, but it will take a long time, depending on the length of the game that you want. But that doesn't mean you can't start building pieces of it a little at a time, testing those pieces, and then gradually adding to it, making it longer and longer. Just plan for each portion of the game to have its own dialogue, its own environments, its own art, its own events that you have to script. Let's see. This is one of the reasons that roguelike games are so popular as indie games, is because they reuse lots of content. So you can create a piece, like you can create an enemy, you can create a level, you can create a weapon, you can create a power, and they can get reshuffled and reused a lot of different times. So you get hours and hours of gameplay out of each piece that you make, instead of spending a ton of time building one scene, the player plays through it, and then it's over. So that's a consideration. Anything with a story progression usually is a long haul kind of thing, unless you want it to just be a short experience game that's like, you know, that's a short game that you play through, complete, takes an hour or two, which is totally legit. But if you want a big, long adventure game that's hours and hours and hours long, it can be a lot of work for solo. And again, that's not a reason not to do it. That's just something to be aware of before setting out on it. If you're okay with that taking a long time and it being the kind of thing that you work on and add to over many, many months, many, many years, then maybe that's what you want. Let's see. Ship body. Where'd my sprite go? all these little pieces. I'm pretty specialized in Unity just because I learned it a long time ago and I've been using it for a long time. I'm not the best person to ask about engine options because I've sort of stuck with one tool for the most part. But I know that Unity is very flexible and can probably do everything you want. There's other engines as well, and they kind of lend themselves to different types of games. If it's a 2D game, I know a lot of people use Game Maker. You probably don't want to do Unreal if you're going to do like a 2D adventure game, because Unreal is it's not that you can't do it, but it's good for games with kind of high-end graphics, and it's really good at rendering, it's really good at performance, but it's maybe a little less flexible for jumping into simpler types of games. You should check out what's he called? Pirate Software. If you don't know him, on YouTube, has a very big following, and his Discord has a big game dev community on it, and you can ask about people's opinions on different engines and things on there. If you introduce yourself on there and go ask for recommendations on different engines, depending on the type of game you're doing, you can probably find a lot of people that will give you advice that are a little bit more broad of experience than I am. Let's see. Hanger. Let's do wall section here. Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more of a direct answer. Making games is a lot of fun, though, and it's an infinite hobby. It's the kind of thing you could work on forever and never run out of stuff to do. So there's no shame in starting with something small. Start with Tetris. Start with like asteroids. Get a nice little playable prototype working, and then experiment outwards from there. Go a little bigger the next time, and a little bigger the next time. Because if you start off with your first game project being a big, huge, ambitious one, what's going to happen is you're going to probably get a ways into it and then kind of run out of steam and be like, oh, I'm never going to finish this, and then you don't end up following through. There's a danger of that anyway. Everybody's different, and everybody's work style is going to be different. But it is a thing that can happen. And if you start small and achievable, first of all, you're going to find that even a small game is plenty of work. especially when you're starting out. Walls. Let me separate them so that I can edit them separately, and then put them back there. And something happened in the middle here. Got some little doubled up sections. Oh yeah, that's because I was just eyeballing it. This is what happens when you're lazy. Things get messed up. Yep, it's been a trek. I'm looking forward to knocking it out myself. I think it should be pretty cool. But I'm definitely feeling the crunch now that I'm kind of past the halfway point and getting down into the how am I gonna finish all of this state. Alright, there's our little hangar. Gets the job done. Slightly more tedious than it needed to be and very inefficiently built, but got the hangar structure all put together here without having to import software, set up a tile map, anything like that. And I think I'm done messing with it now. I might, let's see. Might do some very light patterning on here, actually. Like, give me a line tool. Just take 5 minutes to make this look a little bit better. Line tool. Let's try this. And then I'm going to go back to, oh, whoops. Did that wrong. Messed up a little bit. Body wall. Why does this keep happening? Oh, I see what I did. I'm mirroring everything vertically, so I'm ending up with a lot of stuff getting drawn up at the top that I don't want. Gotta delete all that. Get out of here. And then ship body. I'm also going to just color over this. I think these dark dots are a little too intense. Go one step lighter on them. Export. Open recent. Open ship body. Load default palette. There we go. Let's do symmetry mode. Make some lines here. I still want the outside of this ship to look like it's made out of paneling. That's what I'm going for. So outside of the mothership or whatever, or space base, whatever we're calling it. Oh yeah. And I lightened that. How's this looking? Oh, that looks a lot better. However, some of the vertical edges are thicker than others. And I have a line going up into... Okay, I made a couple mistakes. I gotta clean them up. Did I? Why are some of these lines continuing? Ship body wall here looks like it has a line going up through the middle of it. Is that the way it is on here? Oh, yeah, it is. Well, that was a ridiculous oversight. Let's fix it real quick. There we go. Save it. Export it. Okay, this works for me. Looks like some of these lines are thicker than others. That might be because I didn't evenly space all the sprites, but that's okay. Yeah, this will work for now. So here's our hangar scene. How do we want this to work? Alright, so I've got this little background built out. The idea is that we're going to go into this scene to edit the ship and then kick back into the gameplay scene when we're ready to go on a mission. I'm also going to make a new layer here. Let's go with sorting layers. Let's go with background environments and then background gameplay elements. Something like this. So that I can have things that are in the background of gameplay that go like behind the ship, but that go in front of these environments. And then I will go from there. So go and give me one sec. Getting messages. IRL. Okay. Where was I? Right. So one thing I want to do is make the star fields slowly scroll to one side. So let's do that real quick because I want it to look like you're on a big space station or a ship that's like slowly moving through space. Times. So we're going to have a settable rate that gets multiplied by the amount of time that's passed since the previous frame, and then the offset is set to that. So then we will, let's do this. Scroll rate, 1, 1. Let's try this real quick. This will probably be way too fast or way too slow. Way too fast. Okay. Go down to a 1/10. Try it again. We couldn't even see the stars moving, they're just like twitching. So why isn't this going? I see the stars twitching. Did I mess something up? Well, now it's scrolling very, very fast. Let's see. Oh, I see. I'm not caching the offset value over time and then applying it. I did this just totally wrong. I don't need to name my vector vector. Vector vector? Okay. Oh, and the main texture offset is equal to offset instead of plus equals offset. I just had a straight up typo that was keeping it from working, but now I changed how I'm doing it entirely. Let me think for a sec. Offset. So I calculate the offset and I'll call this cumulative offset. Set it equal to 0 at the beginning. Every frame we add this. Equals the offset plus. Could also name this scroll offset or something like that. Let's do that. Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Gotta go much slower. Maybe nothing in the X direction. Negative in the Y direction, so it looks like we're coming off the back of a big ship. Or maybe a tiny bit in the X direction. We'll go negative 0.5. Just 0. Looks pretty cool. Yeah. That adds a lot. It's subtle. We could even just go real slow. Yeah, a little bit of speed to it is nice. All right. How's this? Nice. Now I want to take all the sprites in this hanger thing. Put them all on the environment background layer. So now guns and things should fire in front of the hanger position. Yep. And out we go into space. Looking nice. So, when we come into the hangar scene, we want to have some ship parts. We want to have some I like the idea that when you finish your ship and click launch, it will it could be building your ship up like this and whatever, and that when you click launch, I'll have it automatically engage all the thrusters and fly off into space and then like fade to black and transition to the other scene. That would be really cool. So we need some buttons. Let's do some UI buttons. For the building buttons specifically. You don't have to find the landing area again. What I'm building here, this platform scene, is just the editing scene for your ship. So you're going to sit here and attach and customize parts of your ship, and then when you're happy with your ship, you click launch, and it's going to go into space, fade out, and then put you in the gameplay scene. So you're never going to be able to fly around freely here. That's why I didn't build any environment back here. It's sort of implying that there's a ship that you're launching off of, but we're not going to show any of that. We're just going to play like a little launch animation and then fade out and go somewhere else. The gameplay scenes will all happen in space with things spawning around you, obstacles and enemies and stuff, but the ship editing scene will happen here. So, let's see. Buttons. Transparent color here. All right. I would like rounded corners on my buttons. Like that. Sure. Let's do radial symmetry here. Let's whoops, didn't mean to do that. I think I would like to have a dark border to the buttons with a pretty bright kind of outer edge. This. These are a little asymmetric and it's bugging me. Here we go. Give him a bright rim right near the outside. And then give it a kind of primary color on the inside. How dark do we want these to be? That was not the fill tool. Thinking how I want this to look. Okay. So we're gonna do just this square button, and then we're gonna do a pressed and an unpressed state. So when the user presses on the button, it's going to darken to make it look pressed down. So like that. And these edges go like that. Pressed. Now let's try making one of these in Unity. UI. Button. Turn off the text component on it. We'll give it that image. Set it to its native size. That looks very big. Oh yeah. Have all the UI stuff set invisible. There we go. I'm gonna turn off all these ugly old buttons for now. Take my button and give it sprite swap. Pressed should replace this with this is pressed. This one not get exported? Seems like it did not. Okay. So let me go to my button, give it the unpressed sprite. And then give it the pressed appearance right here. See how it looks when I press it. Look at that. That works just fine. And now I need some icons for the different ship parts. So let's do just a really simple little doodle icon for each of the parts. Let's do a thruster. Whoops. Nope. And let's look at what a thruster looks like on here. It's like a square. Okay, it's got a little curved bucket with a red thing on it. Stop it. So let's just do the actual thruster part. Could actually, let me see how it looks if I just put an image of the thing on there. To the object. My image. There, that's fine. Doesn't look great, it's got a different resolution, but it'll save me making icons for all these. Get me moving on to more gameplay stuff. So here's a thruster. Make another button. For the connector pieces, gotta reorganize all these textures. Making a mess. Gun. And now if I update what those look like, it'll update on here as well. So all three of these need references to the shipbuilder. Thruster, should add thruster, connector, should add connector, gun, should add gun, click play. Nice. The camera controller in the hangar scene should not move around as you attach parts to the ship. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to make that behavior toggleable. Okay, and we're going to say we'll just say if follow center of mass, do this thing, else. Then we're going to add that offset regardless. So I separated it out. So we're either focused on the center of mass or the ship's rigid body position, depending. So let me test this real quick. If I build a bunch in this direction, tell it to follow center of mass, it goes down there, tell it not to, and it pops back up. So we want it to just say centered, because I don't want the camera twitching around while we're building the ship. And out into space. Looking nice. Looking nice. Thrusters. The pixel art program is called Asprite, A-S-E, P-R-I-T-E. It is about 20 bucks, one-time purchase. You can get it on Steam or just download it on its own. I am fairly new to it, and I like it a lot. Really good program for doing pixel art. I've plugged this guy a couple times and in the description under here, but Adam C Younis has a really good tutorial on creating a custom palette for your game, how to use Asprite, lots of other just game dev topic videos on art and development both. Check him out if you are looking to do a pixel art game, because he's got a bunch of good tips. I'm going to update some of these other pieces to match the shininess level of the thruster here because it's bugging me. Open. Roid thruster, roid. Art. open up the connector piece. Ship, assets, textures, ship, connector. Okay, that looks better. And then I think there's a little too much shine on the thruster, so I'm going to back that one up a little bit. Just want consistency, and now that I'm seeing them all blown up on the UI next to each other, I'm realizing that textures, realizing that I was a little inconsistent with my highlighting, so some of the ship parts look a lot shinier than others. Just want to be consistent-ish. These are a little too much. There we go. Now they look consistent between them at least. Actually, the gun needs a little more highlight because I went one level brighter on highlights on the other ones. So let's open the gun one real quick. Texture, ship. Gun. Load default palette. I'm going to connect together a lot of this stuff. Forgot to mirror. Let's mirror. There we go. Let's do some of this. Get some highlights built up in here. Highlights for our highlights. Something like that. Yeah, nice. It's a little better, I think. Still might go back and edit it a little bit, but Nice, nice, nice. Gotta go blast. Gotta go very, very blast. Okay. Still highlight this up a little bit. Okay. Good enough for me for now. Alright, so when we're in the hangar scene, we're going to have the camera for the ship toggled to that static mode, and I'm going to have the ship driving behavior turned off. I'm playing with it for now, but you're not going to be able to fly the ship around while you're in the hangar scene, as I mentioned. And I'm going to take like a 10-minute break, I think. I'm going to pause my timer. I have been going for 2 hours here. I just need to get up and stretch, get a snack. So I'm going to kick it to a break screen, and then I'm going to come back and do about another hour of this in a few minutes. So I will BRB. Hello, I'm back. Alright. Gonna do about another hour on this right now. Just need a stretchy break. Because my brain is drained. Alright. Where was I? What am I doing next? Okay, so I think what it's time for is sort of a high-level controller script that handles transitions between game states, game modes. Because I want to have this shipbuilding scene, and I want to have a scene for the actual gameplay levels. I have to go get my dog in a sec. He's out there barking up a storm. And so I need like a script that will handle transitioning between menus and gameplay and all that stuff. So I'm going to just make a script called Game Manager. Nice and generic. Give it an object of the same name so it's nice and easy to find. Oh. Game Manager is reserved by Unity. Too generic. Too generic. What do I call this? Game controller, nice and generic. Not reserved by Unity, good. Naturally. It's not the best name for it, but whatever. Alright. It'll have a reference to the player ship so that it can set its states to whether it's buildable or not. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So we can have game modes where we can be in the menu, we can be playing the game, or we can be in the hangar, where in the hangar you're allowed to build stuff. Let's see. Store the current game mode. I'll default it to gameplay. Make a set mode script. basically just be a big state machine. Maybe I will make... Maybe I'll make individual scripts for these different game modes so that they can each enable and disable different things. Let's see. I'm going to make a generic game mode script that represents a game mode that can be edited or exited. So I think on is what you should use for events usually. All right. So I want to be able to enter the mode, which will enable and turn on all of the stuff. And then I want to be able to exit the mode, but exiting the mode sometimes can take time because you might want to like fade out, destroy particles, that kind of thing. So on exit, I'm going to pass in a callback. That's optional. That's not optional. That gets called when it's done exiting. Okay. So this is a game mode. A game mode has an enter method, an exit method. The exit method calls back a callback when it's done exiting. And that's it. And then this game controller guy. Okay, I have two different things named game mode. I made this extra confusing. Starting game mode, or we'll call it initial game mode. Okay, so when we start, we're going to set the mode to the initial game mode. Whoopsie, hit a wrong hotkey. Call it transition game mode. This is actually going to be a coroutine. current game mode's not null, we've got to exit the current game mode. Actually, even if, I was going to check if we're transitioning to the same game mode we're already in, but I might want to be able to do that just to, like, refresh a scene or something, so. Make a method called exit callback. I'll run through real quick what all this is doing once I'm done coding it up. So let's see. Mouse is wigging out on me a little bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sensitivity got all janked up. There we go. Alright, so if the current game mode's not null, then we need to exit it. Which means we set a variable saying that we're exiting. We call exit and wait for a callback, and while we're waiting for that callback to resolve, we yield return null, which means just do nothing this frame. And then when we're done with that, we set the game mode to the current mode, and we call dot enter mode. So this is just a really simple state machine here. At any given time, we can have up to one game mode active. We can even break this up further just to make it simpler. Yeah, never mind. I want to set up another coroutine and stuff. Transition game mode, initial game mode, yeah. I think this works. So now we can just code up a game mode. Let's do the hangar mode. That's all the logic for the hangar mode. I will have to change something about how this works eventually, because these need to be in different scenes, and right now I'm just putting them all in one scene together. But let's see, what does hangar mode do? Hangar mode is going to enable shipbuilding. It's going to do a lot of things. enable shipbuilding, disable movement. It's going to, what else is it going to do? It's going to disable movement, enable shipbuilding, center ship. It's going to face the ship upwards and put it in the middle of the hangar. We'll call it Orient ship. We will, what else? We will load the hangar scene, I suppose. So we're going to need to do those 4 things, and then when we exit the mode, we need to disable shipbuilding. Maybe not even enable movement. We can rely on other scenes to do that. Play that launch animation, because that sounds awesome. I want to do that fade to black and fly off the hangar idea. So we've got 6 methods to code here. Let's make stubs for all of them. This is going to take some work. We're going to Code Town here. None of these are complicated, but it is going to take a while to do all this. This gameplay control flow code. So let's get on it. So Orient ship is going to grab a reference to the player ship. Nah, I won't cache variables out here unless I'm reusing them at the end. I'll go clean things up at the end. Just do this the janky way first. So, and I'm going to put these exit methods. I could do these with regions, but I'm going to just keep it simple for now. All right. So the methods for entering the hangar scene. Do this in a minute. Orient ship. What is the ship's position right now? Does it sit at 0 by default? Ship is at 0, 0, 0. Okay. Disable movement. So, let's see here. Movement enabled by default on the prefab for testing purposes, so... I'm going to actually start with the disabling part because that's going to be the easier part to think through here. Enable, disable. Alright, so what needs to happen to disable movement on the ship? First of all, we have to turn off its physics. Think simulated equals false. Turns off its movement. Is that all I have to do here, actually? We think. Maybe. Let me do a test real quick. Do some thrusters. Let's throw in errors because I haven't hooked stuff up, but that's fine. Okay. And then if I go in here and say where's the sim? Oh, there it is. Couldn't find it. Look at that. Try doing this where I can see what I'm doing a little bit. Okay. Let me test to see if there's any side effects to turn it off and back on. Okay. Simulated off. Locks it in place when I turn it back on. When I turn it back on, it picks up with the same velocity it used to have. That is not how I would have guessed it would have worked, and it is good to know. Yep, okay. It keeps its velocity from the last time it was turned on. So if we disable the ship's movement and re-enable it, we gotta zero everything out. So that's good to know. And that's something that's gonna have to happen in this script right here. Whoa. This is getting buggy too. The movement got very heavy and slow. Something got screwed up. So it seems like there's some side effects to turning this off and on. I'll have to figure that out. Oh, I screwed up the mask. That's why I accidentally clicked that checkbox. That was the only reason it happened. That won't happen normally. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So, let's see here. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? So I think that's all I need to do for movement enabled, except that when I re-enable it, I need to zero out its velocity and probably also its angular velocity. So I don't think I need to cache this variable. I'm not using it anywhere right now. Angular velocity. I'm going to do these before disabling that, just in case the order matters. I don't think it will. So we want to zero out its velocity, disable its movement. Disable movement, orient ship. Enable ship building. So enable shipbuilding is going to be, how are we going to do that? So we've got the ship builder script. We could just enable and disable this script, but I think when we disable it, we need to clean up some stuff. Probably. Current piece a game object or a script? Game object. So we want to destroy the current piece that we are working with. Null it out. Just in case a bunch of things happen in the same frame before the destroy gets called. We want to zero out the targeted build slot as well. Or null it out. Okay. So now we should be able to just enable and disable the shipbuilder script. Thinking. Okay. Actually going to serialize a reference to this. I don't want to be searching for disabled objects in the scene. I'm not sure if that'll be an issue or not. So this should do what we need. And then play launch animation is going to be a whole thing. To that in a minute. Okay. Lots of coding, lots of coding, lots of coding. Let's see. Whew, got 12 hours, 15 minutes left of this whole project. This is going to be a sprint. The last 10 hours are just going to be madness. But I'm getting it done this week. All right. Load hanger scene assets, okay. And then launch animation routine. Okay. So build settings. Let's get all the scenes added here. So I actually have to rename some stuff. My main scene. Look at the old stuff from way back when. Alright. The hangar scene. I called this Space Hulk test level because I got distracted from what I made it for and ended up doing something different, so. I will change its name to gameplay. I'm going to delete this main scene because it no longer has anything in it that we want. It got duplicated and branched and then obsoleted. And build settings. I'll add gameplay scene and the hangar scene. And let's actually duplicate the gameplay scene and call it main. And here's what we're going to do with main. Clear out all these homing missiles. Actually, let's prefab some of this nonsense. Prefabs. Homing missile. Prefabbed. Alien bad guy. Prefabbed. Enemy turret. Prefabbed. Okay. Asteroid 1 and Asteroid 2. Going to fix the colliders on these two. How do you make it recompute? Okay, that did it. Just gotta remove it, re-add it. Alright, looks about right. Well, actually that one's a little janky. Hold on. That's a little way, that's far enough off that it needs fixing, I think. This one. Let's tighten all this up. Whoopsie. Not updated my task label in a while. Okay. Anyway. Let's do this. Nope. What is the hotkey to remove one of these control points, I wonder? It's not delete, because that does the whole option. Or the whole object. Just figure it out later. I'm actually adding control points inadvertently here by clicking in between them. Did not realize it was how it worked until I had already done it a few times, so I'm gonna end up with a lot of control points here, but fortunately I don't think performance is going to be too much of a problem with this game. At least with the amount of assets that it has in it right now. Always something I can go back and optimize. Alright. That's better. Let's prefab these asteroids. Actually, let's not call this environments. Let's call this gameplay, because these are interactable. These asteroids are actual game pieces that the player can do stuff with. Let's remove this building canvas. Move everything that's not evergreen to the game here. We're going to have the main camera. We're going to have the main camera with the star fields. The event system. Debug keys. We're going to have no environment at all. And all the gameplay stuff. Okay. And these objects that I have right here in this stripped down main scene are always going to exist. These are all of the objects that never get deleted or instantiated. They're just evergreen, active as long as you're in the game. There's one ship that we will show or hide. If we go into a menu, we'll hide it, but it'll always be there. Got the logic for ship building. That's fine. And I'll load both these scenes at the same time here. I'm going to move this game controller thing entirely into here. In fact, let's replace this gameplay one. Just call it game controller. So here's all the guts of the game logic. Here's all just the global functionality that we want to have around. Save this hangar scene. Remove scene. Okay. So. Let's give this references to some things. So ship. Ship builder. Point click move. And let's create our game modes. As objects. Hangar mode. Ship builder. Where's my ship builder? There it is. Okay, cool. Maybe I can move that ship builder later into the hangar scene, but that's fine. So, the idea is that the game will start in this default scene. I'm going to have the call this menu. Have a menu mode here. And it's going to do a couple things. First of all, this is going to be the default game mode. Make this the initial game mode, and what I want it to do is just scroll the background and show the ship with the thrusters going, so that we're on the menu. When we're on the main menu, it's just perpetually flying through space, and that'll be how the game starts. So let's set that up. What are those scrolling star fields called? If these both have the same value, say, like 1. Nice. That looks fine. Okay, I want to expose that scroll rate as something I can set externally. So. Let's just make this public. Okay. Not sure what the right convention is here. I think it's to make it a property, but I'm not doing that right now. Gonna do some messy code. Get it working. Menu mode. I think that was the number. I can actually set okay. There's the Starfield scroll rate. Has my timer been going? Yeah, it is. Okay. For a second, I thought it was frozen. Let's skip seconds. It is odd. All right. I think it's keeping correct time, though. Looks right. How am I doing on this session length? Push in 3 hours. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be wrapping here soon in a few minutes, but do a bit more on the setup of these game modes. It's a very code-heavy session here, so sorry that's not exciting to watch, but as I get past all these main transition things and get the structure of the game laid out, it's going to start to be a lot of snappy visual stuff coming together. I think my next dev session is mostly going to be designing some big alien monster bosses with turrets all over their heads and doing some wacky missile launchers on the ship and stuff. So the next session is going to have a lot more flashy, interesting stuff because I'm getting all this structural code out of the way. Then after that, I'm going to rush through some audio, slap on a title screen, and try to be done with this thing. I'm hoping I can do like 2 or 3 levels, so where it's like, yeah, customize your ship, you go fight some enemies, and then it gives you more pieces. You customize your ship some more, you go fight some enemies, and then it gives you some more pieces. Then you go fight a big boss. And then it rolls credits, one name on the credits. Special thanks to Adam C Younis for your amazing video tutorials. So 2 names on the credits. And all my lovely viewers. And then that'll be it. But yeah, the next dev session is going to be a lot more cool gameplay features and stuff. Got 12 hours to go. I'm probably gonna spend an hour or 2 on menus, an hour or 2 on audio. Probably like 3 hours on levels. Just the progression of level difficulty. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the other 6 hours, I'm just gonna make the gameplay as fun as I can. Put in some more ship parts, some more enemy types. Maybe a very light resource management system, maybe some little visual feedback when your ship parts are taking damage, all that stuff. So still a lot of ground to cover, but I am targeting this Friday to be done with it. I'm going to try to stream about 3 hours a day this week and get done with it by Friday. And then I'll do like a follow-up stream / video where I just show off the finished prototype. I'm going to upload it on itch.io so everybody can play it for free. And then I will probably do like a recap video that's like a time-lapse commentary kind of thing. Just showing the whole process condensed down to like 10 minutes instead of 40 hours. But anyway, that's the plan. So, enter mode. Nice. So I want to have some I want to have some way to have the thrusters of the ship enabled when you're not controlling it, so that I can show the thrusters firing when it leaves the hangar bay, and so that you can show the thrusters firing on the like main menu before you're playing. So I'm gonna try to do that. Yeah, let's do that. So first of all, let me think. I think I'm going to make a controller script for thruster visuals, because I've got this double coded in 2 places. Now that I want to change it, I have to update it in 2 places, and that's annoying. And I don't want to have to do that forever, so let's go to, let's make a folder called effects, because that's what this is. This is really a visual effect with no impact on gameplay. So thruster VFX. First of all, you can't be below 0% or 100%. Then scale value. So what I want to do is have the thrusters gradually grow and shrink depending on how hard you're thrusting. And when you turn them off, I don't want them to just flicker off. I want them to shrink down over the course of like half a second or something. So I want to have a target scale value and a current scale value. When you set the thrust percentage, the target scale value is going to be that value clamped between 0 and 1. Then every frame, the current scale value is going to interpolate towards that value. So we're going to interpolate from the current scale value to target scale value by an amount equal to time.delta time. That's just a default speed, and then we can put like a rate modifier on it. So let's put this little controller script on the cockpit here. Max change rate 1. Whoops. No, my inspector. And then we're going to go to this control script. This is deprecated. This ship controller script is no longer in use. point click move is the new version that we're using. So call this main thruster VFX. This is the one that's attached to the cockpit of the ship. And main thruster VFX. Give a reference to this. Get rid of this old, whoops, it's a prefab. Let's go into the prefab and do this. Remove this old deprecated triangle thing that used to be on there. Doesn't do anything anymore. Whoops. Editor throwing some errors, very nice. Yep, adios deprecated script. The triangle served us well. And the old ship mover served us well too. I'm glad I redid the ship movement to be mouse based. How's it going? I still need a game title. Let's see. Right, point click move. Where were all the references to this thruster? Move the way I was doing this before. Say main thruster VFX dot set thrust percentage to that value. See if this works. Space nobblers. Get out of here with your nobblers. Alright, so now this is perpetually on. That is not what I want. I think maybe I didn't finish implementing that script actually. Am I just expecting a script to work when I haven't even written it yet? Yep. Woo! See if this works. Ooh, so slow. Way too slow. It should be going all the way out in 1 second, but it looks like it's going all the way out in longer than 1 second. Not sure why that is. Got errors here too. Just the editor throwing errors. Okay. Animated jets. I mean, I can make it go 10 times faster. That looks a lot better than turning it straight on and off, for sure. Having that little scale out delay. 100? Hundred's too much. I think 50's fine. Because you can see it grow and shrink. But it's pretty snappy. It still scales when you're wobbling, but when you do a hard snap, instead of it just flickering, you actually see it scale in and out. So just the slight bit of motion to it makes it look a lot more consistent instead of having it flicker hard on and off. So got that working. Anyway, what I want to do next is hook this visual effect up to the other thrusters and then synchronize them all so that they all fire when you're traveling in a direction. So, I updated my label forever ago on the overlay, and it just has been lying the whole time because I didn't apply the change. Anyway, I'm done with this session, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me pause my timer. Boop. Got 11 hours, 38 minutes to go. Good God. But a lot of things happened here. We got the hangar scene laid out, got the scene flow of control done, got some visual updates to a lot of the sprites, did sprite art for the hangar scene. I can't even think what else. Did a bunch of things. So anyway, I'll be streaming this again tomorrow. Maybe a bit earlier in the day than I did today. Doing another 3-hour session. So tune in for that. Thanks for watching.